Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Matt Hester, and let's take another quick look at Windows Server 2008 R2 and another tool that can help you as an administrator. Specifically, we're going to look at a couple of the enhancements inside of Windows Server Core and how we can actually work with it. Server Core got a lot of dramatic improvements in R2. Mainly, one of the big improvements that enabled a lot of other improvements is that we actually offered support for the .NET framework at a limited level. So it's a lot of the major components for the .NET framework, but not all of them. So you couldn't run SQL on Server Core, but you certainly can run IIS, which allows you to enable web applications. And also, if you are like PowerShell, well, guess what? You can now use PowerShell on Windows Server Core. So let me show you some of the enhancements that are there to make our jobs a little bit easier as administrators. Let me switch on over to Server Core. So here's my Server Core box, our typical nice command prompt window that we have. One of the things that you've always wanted to know is maybe, hey, what features have currently been installed on Windows Server Core? Well, now we can run a command, the Deployment Imaging and Services command, online. And I want to say get features. And I'm actually going to format it into a table because it makes it look a little bit easier. And what this is going to do is show me all the different features that I have installed or enabled currently on my Server Core. And I currently have a ton of services that are currently disabled, but I can get that in a very quick peek that allows me to work with this information. Now, another reason you run this command, whenever you want to install a new feature on your tool, on your server, so maybe I want to install the server migration tools, or maybe I want to install some of the IIS services that I have up here, you use the same command, the dism online, but what you have to know is this feature name that's here. And more importantly, the feature names that are used here, when you use them in your commands to enable them, they are case sensitive. So if I wanted to install Microsoft Hyper-V, and I'm not actually going to install it, but I'll put in the command for you, it's basically dism online, enable feature, and then feature name. And then you would tell it the feature name. And for Hyper-V, I'd go Microsoft Windows Hyper-V. I would spell it exactly how it was. It's actually Microsoft Hyper-V. And that's the command that I would use. And this is one of the few times that your commands are case sensitive. So working with this tool, being able to say dism is one nice enhancement that allows us to install all the features that we can use on our server. The other tool, and this tool I like because a lot of people didn't like Server Cores. It didn't have a lot of functionality. I mean, it did do quite a bit, but the .NET framework actually increases that a little bit. But more importantly, how would you do common things like what if you wanted to change the IP address or join the Server Core to a domain? These weren't always the easiest things to do. And I shouldn't say they were hard, but you had to remember the commands to do it. And it took you back to the net sh days, the net shell commands, and all that working with it. Well, we put in a new tool called the Server Configuration tool. In your Server Core on 2008 R2, if you type in sconfig, you get a nice little DOS menu system that allows you to change things very easily. So here I have my Server Core box. You know what? Let me change the network settings just to pick one off the top of my head. So I'll hit 8. And then what adapter? I want to notice it gives me IP address. I'm going to say 0. You can tell I'm running a virtual system here. I want to set the actual adapter address. So I'm going to type in 1. I'm going to make it a static system. So S. And then I'm just going to enter the new address. So I'm 118. I'll just make it 119 just for this screencast. I'm going to accept the default here. And then if I want to put in a gateway, I can put that here as well. And then it's going to configure that information. Notice how easy it was for me to change that information. And in prior versions of Server Core, really you couldn't do it this easily. You had to know a lot of your command prompts. So we're trying to make it a little bit easier to work with these powerful tools and work with the Server Core. And this is just one of the tools. Notice the server configuration menu also gives you the ability to join domains, change date and time, enable remote desktops and remote management capabilities, all from within inside of this neat little console. So yeah, you can still do it the old way if you know those commands, but here's a nice alternative that might be a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of the command, and I want to say thank you for checking out this quick screencast on Windows Server 2008 R2 Server Core.